How are you? No, oh boy, look at that. You look all cleaned up here, and you're going to be in Canton this weekend. I got to ask you.
Starting tonight.
Yep. And, during the Aaron Rodgers stuff, Aaron, the last couple days, and Brian Gutekunst have sounded like adults. We're talking our way through this thing. They're like adults. They disagree. Let's get along and figure this stuff out. We're both talented people. The clarity, though, Jay, is interesting. What did they exactly agree on? I know Aaron got a year taken off the deal. Is there anything else out there that I don't know about or we should know about?
Yeah, so if Aaron wants to get traded after the year, then Aaron can get traded after the year. It's not necessarily to the team that he desires. So I think his two options now, and he kind of holds some of the cards now, a lot more cards than he wanted to, than he had. If after this year he wants out, they could trade him. If he wants to decide where he wants to go, he could elect to stay for an extra year, and then he'll hit free agency, and that's why they took that extra year off. But you're talking about that relationship, right? And in order to be on Aaron Rodgers' level, in order to be great, you got to be crazy, right? But the best head coaches and GMs in the league, they manage that kind of crazy. So you understand what you have in Aaron Rodgers. For them to handle Aaron the way they have, the entire front office there really didn't make a lot of sense. Yeah.
So we got into this discussion today. LeVar Arrington, it was funny. He said, everybody's got a guy in the league. They can't, it gets in their head. And I asked LeVar, I said, who was the guy? And he said, Flozell Adams. He owned me. He goes, I don't know. And it's like Carson Wentz, Nick Foles, maybe the guy that gets in his head. And the other day, somebody said something to me. They said, it's very difficult if you're quarterback to be emotionally and physically fragile. Is the problem with Wentz is we know physically he's a little fragile, and now there's you can't bring in Nick Foles because it won't work. Boy, Jay, I could argue you got to be able to handle Nick Foles, don't you?
Well, that was the whole problem last year with Wentz and Hurts in Philly is, man, he really just got under Carson's skin, and they weren't able to coexist. And, I said that in Fox NFL Sunday last year. That was a big problem. It just got in his head and he lost his confidence. So, the thing I will say this about Carson Wentz, they don't think, I guess they're cautiously optimistic that it's not going to be 2 months, 3 months, something along those lines. They're going to reevaluate him here in about 3 weeks from now, let him rest it up, reevaluate then, try and rehab there, and then see where he can go. They're still going to try and push him for week 1. I think we're kind of looking more like week 3, but they don't think right now this is going to be, an 8 to 12 week injury.
That's great. So we got into this. We kind of joked yesterday is that, general managers and coaches don't like to blow too much smoke up young quarterbacks. They want to keep everybody. This is not the NBA. Not everybody's going to be called great, right? And so I got Shanahan saying, Garoppolo looks unbelievable. That's the best I've ever seen him. And then I got Lynch saying Trey Lance is way better than we thought. And my takeaway is they want to move Garoppolo, and they don't want anybody to think that Trey Lance isn't ready to play. They don't want to be lowballed. It did make me feel like they're probably going to move Garoppolo. I mean, the way the compliments are coming down at practice, I thought, boy, that's a lot. You don't hear that a lot in the NFL.
Well, you do in camp, though. That's the thing. Colin, in camp, everybody's going to go undefeated this year. If you go and you read every press clipping in every camp, you rarely ever see somebody just stinking it up in camp. Everybody's fantastic. Everybody had the greatest offseason of all time. Everybody came in the greatest shape they've ever come in. And everybody just wows the rest of the world. So, until they start going against other jerseys, everybody looks phenomenal. And, with these two quarterbacks, the thing there with Jimmy is that even when there's been interest, they've wanted so much, way too much, in return for Jimmy Garoppolo. So if they ever do want to move him, I think they're going to have to kind of come down on what they're looking for. But I also do think they look at their plan going in this year was not to play Trey. It really was for him because Shanahan's offense is so incredibly complicated. It's not something that you just pick up overnight. It takes some time. And again, I know he looks great in some of these throws, but it's a really complicated offense. It takes more time than people really understand.
Dak's shoulder. Now, you work with athletes all the time, and my gut feeling on Dak was because of the leg injury, he was overcompensating and being more of an arm thrower, and it probably got sore because, as you know, if you pull a groin off on the left side, then you overcompensate and you pull it on the right side. That's what athletes always do, right? So it doesn't sound too serious, does it?
Right. No, they're not concerned that's going to hold him out. However, I think it was a little bit worse than they originally thought as far as, okay, we really need to make sure we protect him from himself. And it's kind of in a weird area. It's kind of more under like the armpit. It happens more in baseball pitchers than it does in football players. So they just want to make sure, because Dak is the type of guy, it's not that he would overcompensate for the leg. He would just work so hard and do so much and so much and so much. When they say we got to protect him from himself, they really do. This guy, he outworks the world. And once it gets sore, he's the type of guy, he's just going to power through it. They got to make sure he doesn't power through it and it completely, recovers.
By the way, I've said before, Jimmy, whenever when I worked on the Sunday shows, one of the reasons I got in early, because Jimmy is one of the first guys to show up. Yeah. And I just sit there.
3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah, it's insane. And I just pepper him with questions about nonsense football stuff. And Jimmy always had answers. And I think you and I both agreed that Jimmy, we couldn't figure out why he wasn't a Hall of Famer. One of the things that Jimmy did in the NFL that I think is not discussed enough is nobody made trades before Jimmy Johnson. I mean, literally, nobody made trades. If I could be wrong here, but isn't Jimmy Johnson, didn't he create a chart that's still used?
Yeah, he created the trade chart. Absolutely. He created that. It's also, and here's the other thing people don't know about Jimmy, is the number of general managers and head coaches and aspiring coaches who go down to Florida with the hopes that they can get in front of Jimmy Johnson and just talk football. It'll blow your mind. I mean, he really is. He's the Wizard of Oz. He's the one everybody wants to go and try and go down the Olympic road to go and get some time with. So he is. He's the Pied Piper for a lot of these guys. And look, our moment last year, I guess 2 years ago now. I mean, the last time we were all together was the Super Bowl. So tonight, when we're doing the Hall of Fame game, this is the first time we're all together since the Super Bowl 2 years ago in Miami. And we're each other's families, man. We are. Best man at each other's weddings. There's been a lot of weddings. Godfathers to each other's kids. We are so incredibly close. To see Jimmy 2 years ago when David Baker came out and surprised him, that was this is my 19th year at Fox. Those guys have been there almost 30. That, I think, is the best moment we've ever had in the history of Fox NFL Sunday, just to see Jimmy. Because beforehand, Jimmy acted like, it's no big deal. It's no big deal. It's no big deal. And Jimmy, that's why Jimmy's is great at poker. Got a great poker face. But when it happened and the emotions came out so much and how much it meant for everybody who's worked under Jimmy and all the players, that's why it meant so much for him. It was incredible. It was so incredible. We have a feature tonight on the pregame show where we're kind of reliving what happened after the show, which you guys will love. It was wild.
Jay Glazer, Fox Sports, Unbreakable Performance Center, founder of MVP, merging vets and players. You look great. Good seeing you. Have a blast tonight and this weekend, buddy.
All right. Love you guys. Thanks.
Hi, everybody. Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get the latest from the show. Also, be sure to check out more of the best clips from The Herd or go watch a few segments from other shows on FS1.